Hello everyone, welcome to Learn with Isha. Now I'm going to start a new series called the NCERT series where I'll be teaching the NCERT syllabus from class 6th to class 10th over the next few days. Right now I'm going to start with geography syllabus because it is very important for any UPSC examinations or any other competitive examinations. You need to have a strong base in geography. So I'm going to start with class 6th to class 12th geography syllabus, entire syllabus of geography. And so if you are in this series, please do hit the bell icon and please do subscribe to my channel and also share it with your friends so they can also be a part of this series. Now without wasting any time, let's start with the first chapter, which is the Earth in the solar system. So what is the solar system? Now the planets, the asteroids, the comets and the meteoroids which are revolving around the sun forms a system called as the solar system. Now the solar system was found by a Polish astronomer called Nicolaus Copernicus in 1532, and the planetary motion, the motions of the planet around the sun, was given by Johannes Kepler. Now the solar system is a word derived from the Roman word called sol. Now sol in Roman means sun god. So anything related to the sun will be starting from the word sol. Now Earth is a part of the solar system. Earth is one of the 8 planets of the solar system. Now Earth has its name from a Greek origin called geo. Geo means earth. So geo plus logy. Logy means study. So geology means study of earth. So the study of earth is known as geology. And geo plus graphy. Graphy means writings, descriptions or basically the explanation. So geo plus graphy is geography, which is the description of earth. So geology is the study of earth while geography is the description of earth. Now geo plus metry. Metry means the measurement. So geo plus metry is the measurement of earth. Geo plus oid is the shape of earth. Now the earth, as many people perceive, is a sphere. The earth is not a sphere, it is a special shape known as geoid. I'll explain this. For example, many people perceive earth as a complete sphere, which means the center has the radius of this circle will be equal in all parts. No, it is not, because the diameter of the poles, what is the diameter? It is a line from one point of the circle to another point through its center. So the diameter of the poles, which is the north and south poles, we have 2 poles, north and south. So the diameter of north and south pole is 12714 kilometer, and the diameter of the equator, which is the line which passes directly through the middle of earth, it is 1212756 kilometer. So you can see that 12714 is smaller than 12756. So it means that the poles are shorter than the equator. The earth is a bit squished, so the poles are shorter than the equator. This means that the gravitational force will be very strong at the poles because the distance is smaller than the distance of the equator. So the gravitational force will always be stronger at the poles and it will be weaker at the equators. And this difference will be, the difference of these diameter is about 42 kilometer. So this is the shape of earth. The shape of earth is geoid. Now let's look at the other parts. Now this chapter basically starts by talking about how we starts to see the stars in the night sky when the sun starts to set, because once the sun starts to set, we see 2 or 3 stars in the night sky, and then it comes to a point that we are not able to count the stars in the night sky. It is infinite. So stars are celestial bodies. So what are celestial bodies? Celestial bodies are the objects which shine in the night sky. So the stars, the moon, sun is also a star. So sun, moon and stars which shine in the night sky are called as celestial bodies. Now celestial bodies are of 2 types. The first one are the celestial bodies which produce their own heat and produce their own light because they are large and they are made up of gases. So this type of celestial body which emit their own heat and their own light are known as stars. Now the second type of celestial bodies are the ones which do not produce their own heat or light, but they get their heat and light from the other stars which are near them. So this kind of celestial body which do not produce their own heat and light are known as planets. So celestial bodies are of two types, planets and stars. Planets do not produce their own heat and light, but stars do produce their own heat and light. Now one of the celestial bodies which we can see in the night sky is the moon. Now moon is a satellite. So what is a satellite? Now any object which revolves around a bigger object, any small object which revolves around a bigger object is known as a satellite. So satellite can be natural satellite and it can also be artificial satellite. For example, our earth is a natural satellite. Our earth revolves around the sun. So it is a natural satellite. Now moon is a natural satellite of earth. Moon revolves around the earth. So moon is a natural satellite. We have artificial satellites which are man-made satellites. For example, the International Space Station is one such artificial satellite which is revolving around the earth and is giving us informations regarding the earth. So that is about the satellite. So like I said, moon is a satellite. So our moon is a satellite which is very close to our earth and it is continuously revolving around the earth. Moon revolves around the earth in 27 days. It takes the same time to rotate around its axis. So we only see one part of the moon. The moon is only visible from one side, and that part of the moon which is visible to earth is known as the near side, and the part of the moon which is not visible to the earth is known as far side. Now the moon has two phases. It is the moon, full moon and the new moon. So the moon is revolving around the earth, right? It is moving in an elliptical orbit which is the path of the moon. Now when the moon is in a position between the sun and earth, we cannot see the moon because the moon does not have any light. It is a celestial body which do not produce any light, but it gets its light from the star which is sun, which is the nearest star to the moon. So when the moon is in a position between the earth and the sun, it won't get any light which can be visible from the earth. So this phase of the moon is known as new moon or Amavasya. Why a new moon? Because at this phase there is no light. It is complete darkness. But the moon is revolving, right? So when the moon is orbiting around the earth, fewer parts of the moon is seen. So that is new moon is beginning. So this phase is known as new moon, and when it comes to a position where it can directly reflect the light from the sun, it is known as a bright moon or full moon or Purnima. Now Purnima and Amavasya are Sanskrit words. So full moon is known as Purnima and new moon is known as Amavasya. Now the moon has a diameter which is only 1/4 of the diameter of earth. It means that, for example, if the earth has a diameter of 4 cm, then the moon will be having a diameter of only 1 cm. But it is very close to earth. It is at a distance of 3,84,400 km from earth. That is why even though moon is very small, we can easily see it. So that is about the moon. Now you might have seen that on a full moon day, you might have seen large shadows or dark patches in the moon. These are the shadows in the moon. Why moons have shadows? Because moon is not a smooth surface. It has lots of mountains and craters, and these cast shadows on the moon. So we see these as dark patches. So the moon is not always pure white, but it has some dark patches. Now let us see about stars. Now as I said, star is another celestial body which emits their own heat and light. Now stars form regular patterns in the night sky known as constellations. Now there are 88 officially recognized constellations, and one of those 88 constellations are the 12 major zodiac signs. Now another big constellation is known as the Ursa Major or the Big Bear. It is also known as the Big Bear. It is because of the shape it resembles of a big bear. So the Ursa Major is one such constellation, and it has several constellations in it, and one of the most important constellation in the Ursa Major or the Big Bear constellation is the Saptarishi. Now Sapta means 7 in Sanskrit and Rishi means sages. So a constellation of 7 stars is Saptarishi. Now it is a very important constellation. Why? Because for example, the Saptarishi constellation is 7 stars, so it looks like something like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you connect all these dots, it looks like a spoon for me. So if you connect all these stars, you will see a star which is very bright and near to the Saptarishi. So the first 2 points stars, if you draw a line through these stars, you will see a very bright star which is next to the Saptarishi, and this star is known as the northern star or the pole star. And why is it important? It is very important because in the earlier times people could not find the directions easily in the night time. So they used the Saptarishi, they used to find the 7 stars and a star which is very bright and near to the 7th star, which will always point to the northern pole. So it is the North Star or the pole star. Now that's about the constellations. Now we'll talk about the 8 planets. We have 8 planets: Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. Now to remember that easily, just remember a word: my very elegant mother just served us Nutella. So M for Mercury, V for Venus, E for Earth, M for Mars, J for Jupiter, S for Saturn, U for Uranus and N for Nutella. So just remember this word: my very elegant mother just served us Nutella, so that you can easily remember the 8 planets. Now the 8 planets are divided equally into 4 planets on each side by a belt known as the asteroid belt. Now the asteroid belts, just like the planets, are also revolving around the sun, and they are made up of rock particles. There is a very similar belt just like the asteroid belt which is beyond the 8 planets, and it is known as the Kuiper belt. Now the Kuiper belt is very similar to the asteroid belt because they also contain large pieces of rocks in them. But the only difference is that since asteroid belt is very close to the sun, it has less cooler rocks, but Kuiper belt is far beyond the sun, so it has cooler rocks in them. Now beyond the Kuiper belt is something called as the Oort cloud. The Oort cloud is known as the end of solar system. It is a large group of cloud which surrounds all the planets. So after this point, the sun's radiation, the sun's flares are ended. So it is also known as the end of the solar system. Now let us look at each of the planets. Now let's talk about the sun, which is the main energy which drives all the solar system. Now the sun is a very massive object and it has hydrogen and helium in it, which is continuously going through a process called as the thermonuclear fusion, and it is the reason why the sun is very hot. It is very hot, and the sun is continuously giving out energy in the form of heat and light. The earth is very lucky to be at a position which is perfect. The earth is not too cold, the earth is not too hot. It is at a perfect position, and this position of the earth from the sun is known as the Armstrong unit, 1 Armstrong unit. So 1 Armstrong unit is the distance from the sun to the earth, and it is equal to 149 million kilometer. For easiness you can say 150 million kilometer, but it is actually 149 million kilometer. One astronomical unit is 149 kilometer, which is the distance of the sun from earth. So for example, Venus is very close to earth. Now Venus will have a distance less than 1 Armstrong unit, and Jupiter will have a distance more than 1 Armstrong unit. So let's see these planets. So the first planet is the Mercury. Now Mercury is the nearest planet to the solar system, and it is the smallest planet in the solar system, and it is the nearest planet to the sun, and it is very hot. Now another planet which is the Venus. Now Venus is the second planet nearest to the sun. Now Venus has an atmosphere of large amount of carbon dioxide, and the global warming in Venus is out of control. So it is, even though Mercury is the nearest planet to the sun, Venus is the hottest planet because the global warming in Venus is out of control. We say that the Earth is going through a global warming phase because the carbon dioxide content in Earth is increasing day by day. So, if the carbon dioxide goes out of control, the Earth's global warming will also go out of control, and Earth will also be a very hot planet. Now, the Venus has another name, which is the brightest star and the morning star and the evening star. Venus can be seen at some part of the Earth in the morning and evening as a bright star. So, it is also known as the morning star and evening star. Now, Venus is also very similar in size and mass to the Earth. So, Venus is also known as the Earth's twin or the twin sister of Earth. Now, let us talk about Earth. So, Earth is the third planet nearest to the Sun, and it is the only planet with life on it. Why? Because it is the only planet with water content on it, and it is the only planet with large amount of oxygen, which is very important for the survival of humans and other organisms. Now, the Earth is known as the blue planet because most of the part of the Earth is covered with water. So, Earth is the blue planet. Now, let us talk about Mars. Now, Mars is also known as the red planet because the surface of the Mars is mostly made up of iron material, ferrous objects. So, it is red in color. It has a reddish oxide of iron. So, it is known as the red planet. Now, the largest mountain in the solar system is the Olympus Mons, which is in the Mars. So, Mars has the largest mountain in the entire solar system, which is the Olympus Mons. Now, let us talk about Jupiter. Jupiter is the largest planet in the entire solar system, and it is entirely made up of gas. So do its nearest planet, which is Saturn. Saturn and Jupiter are made up of gas, and they are huge. So they are known as gas giants. Now, another planet, Saturn and Uranus and Neptune. Uranus and Neptune are made up of ice because they are very far from the Sun. They are mostly made up of ice material. So, they are known as ice giants. So, Jupiter and Saturn are known as gas giants, while Uranus and Neptune are known as ice giants. Now, another thing to be noted is that the asteroid belt equally divides the planet into 4 on each side. So, the planets inside the asteroid belt are known as inner planets or terrestrial planets, and the planets which are outside the asteroid belt are known as outer planets or Jovian planets. Now, let us look about the differences in the inner planets and the outer planets. The inner planets are mostly made up of rock materials. They have solid surface and they have lesser amount of moons. Now, for example, Mercury in Venus has no moons. Earth has one moon, which is our moon. Mars has 2 moons. They are Phobos and Deimos. Now, you should note that the Deimos, which is the moon of Mars, is the smallest moon in the entire solar system, which is Deimos. Mars has 2 moons, which are Phobos and Deimos, and the smallest moon in the entire solar system, which is Deimos, belongs to Mars. Now, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune are outer planets. Now, outer planets are very large and they are also divided into 2, that is gas giants and ice giants, because Jupiter and Saturn are mostly made up of gas and Neptune and Uranus are made up of ice. Now, another thing to be noted is that these outer planets have large amounts of moons. The terrestrial or the inner planets have less amount of moon. The outer planets have large amounts of moon. For example, the largest moon in the entire solar system, which is Ganymede, belongs to Jupiter. The second largest moon in the solar system is Titan. It belongs to Saturn. Now, another major difference is that all the outer planets have rings around them. We only say that Saturn is the only planet with the ring on it, but all the outer planets have rings around them. But the difference is that the Saturn's rings are brighter and larger, but the other planets have thinner and made up of dark material. These rings are made up of dark material, so they are not visible to the eyes. Now, Saturn was discovered by Galileo Galilei, and the rings of the Saturn was also discovered by Galileo Galilei. So, that is the difference between the inner planets and the outer planets. Now many of you might be having doubts regarding the dwarf planet, which is Pluto. Now Pluto is not a planet. When I was a kid, Pluto was a planet. I was told that Pluto was a planet, but after 2006 Pluto is no longer considered a planet, but it is considered a dwarf planet. Now Pluto belongs to the Kuiper belt. It is a dwarf planet. It is just like a planet but does not exhibit the characters of a planet. So it is a dwarf planet, and it is Pluto in the Kuiper belt is one of the biggest thing in the Kuiper belt. Just like that, in the asteroid belt there is a big thing. There is a large object known as Ceres, which is also a dwarf planet. So the largest object in the asteroid belt is the Ceres, which is the dwarf planet, and the largest object in the Kuiper belt is Pluto, which is also a dwarf planet. Now another thing to be noted is the rotation of the planets. Every planet in the solar system move from west to east. That is why all the planets have the sun rising from the east and the sun setting in the west. So all the planets move from west to east except Venus and Uranus. Venus and Uranus are the only planet which revolves from east to west. So they have the sun rising in the west and setting in the east. Now another thing, so what are asteroids? Asteroids are rocky materials which are revolving around the earth. Now another thing is the meteoroids. So the meteoroids are similar to the asteroids, but they are smaller in size compared to the asteroids, and the meteoroids are the objects which are also revolving around the sun. Now if a meteoroid, which are very small, is able to pass through the atmosphere of the earth, it is known as a meteor shower or a meteor. So a meteoroid which is falling on the earth's atmosphere is known as a meteor, and we can see it as a shooting star. It will easily burn off and it will not touch the earth's surface. But in rare cases, the meteoroids are touching the surface of the earth. In such case, those kind of meteoroids which touch the surface of the earth are known as meteorite. So meteoroids are the objects which are revolving around the sun, and if hits the surface of the atmosphere, it is known as meteor, and if it is possible to reach the surface of the earth, it is known as meteorite. And another thing is the comets. Now comets are different from asteroids and meteoroids because the covering of the comets is ice. So ice covers the rock particles, and when this comet is near to the sun, the ice will melt, and the process of conversion of ice directly into vapor is known as sublimation, right? So similarly, when the ice here directly converts into vapor through a process called sublimation, so the ice sublimes into gas particles, and these gas particles are pushed away because of the sun's heat and light. The sun's heat and light will push it away. So the comets will have two parts, a head and a tail. The head will always be pointing at the sun, and the tail will not be pointing at the sun. So the the shape of the comet is something like this. So that's about the chapter. So let us recap this chapter. So the earth in the solar system talks about the solar system and earth. Now solar system is a group of planets, asteroids, comets and meteoroids which are revolving around the sun. Now the solar system is a part of the galaxy, and galaxy is a part of the universe. Now if you want to know more about galaxies and universe, I have already made a video. I'll put the link to those videos in the description below. You can go and watch the video. So it talks about the planets. There are 8 planets which are Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune, and it also has an asteroid belt which is dividing the planets. So to remember, there is a trick. For example, the asteroid belt is between Mars and Jupiter, right? So MJ, Michael Jackson. So you can easily remember the planets which are at the side or edge of the asteroids are Mars and Jupiter. There is another belt which is outside all the planets, and it is known as the Kuiper belt, and the Oort cloud is known as the end of solar system.
Now let us answer some of the NCERT questions. So the first question is, how does a planet differ from a star? A planet is different from a star because a planet cannot produce their own heat or light, but a star can produce their own heat and light. Now the second question is, what is meant by the solar system? The 8 planets, the asteroids, the meteors and all the other celestial bodies which are revolving around the sun forms a system known as the solar system. Name all the planets according to their distance from the sun. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus and Neptune. To remember this, you can easily remember the sentence, my very elegant mother just served us Nutella. Why is Earth called a unique planet? Earth is called a unique planet because it is the only planet which contains life on it. It is at a perfect position from the sun, which makes the Earth not too cold, not too hot. It also has oxygen content in it, and it also has abundance of water in it, which is important for the survival of many organisms. Why do we see only one side of the moon? We only see one side of the moon because the moon spins on its axis in 27 days and it takes the same amount of time to revolve around the Earth. So we only see one side of the moon. Now the last question is, what is the universe? The universe is all of space and time and their contents including planets, stars, galaxies and other forms of matter and energy. Now take the correct answer. The planet known as Earth's twin. Answer is Venus. Which is the third nearest planet to the sun? Earth is the third nearest planet to the sun. All the planets move around the sun in a elongated path or elliptical path. The pole star indicates the direction to north, so it is also known as the northern star. Asteroids are found between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. This is very easy to remember, MJ, Michael Jackson. So the asteroids are found between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Now fill in the blanks. A group of stars forming various patterns is called a constellation. A huge system of stars is called galaxy. Moon is the closest celestial body to our Earth. Earth is the third nearest planet to the sun. Planets do not have their own heat and light.